I still remember the night I spent in the infamous Stanley Hotel in Estes Park, Colorado. I had always been drawn to the supernatural and the occult, and when I received an invitation to stay in the hotel's notorious Room 217, I couldn't resist. As I drove through the winding roads of Rocky Mountain National Park, the GPS leading me deeper into the mountains, I felt a sense of unease settling over me. The trees seemed to close in around me, casting long, ominous shadows on the ground. When I arrived at the hotel, I was greeted by the friendly staff, but I couldn't shake the feeling that something was off. I made my way to room 217, my heart racing with anticipation. As I stepped inside, I felt a chill run down my spine. The room was exactly as I had imagined it: ornate furnishings, high ceilings, and a sense of history that hung heavy in the air. But it was the view that caught my attention. The Rocky Mountains stretched out before me, their peaks shrouded in mist. I began to explore the hotel, my footsteps echoing down the deserted hallways. I stumbled upon the ballroom, its chandeliers casting flickering shadows on the walls. And then, I saw it, a door hidden behind a tapestry, leading to a narrow stairway that descended deep into the earth. I followed the stairs, my heart pounding in my chest, until I reached a hidden room deep beneath the hotel. The walls were adorned with ancient symbols, etched into the stone in a language I couldn't understand. And then, I saw the mirror, an antique glass, its surface rippling like water. As I gazed into its depths, I saw a reflection that was not my own. It was the face of something ancient, something evil. I tried to turn away, but I was frozen in place. The mirror seemed to be drawing me in, pulling me into its depths. When I came to, I was lying on the floor, the mirror shattered beside me. I stumbled out of the hotel, never to return. But the horror didn't end there. I began to experience strange visions, echoes of the evil I had unleashed. I knew then that I had to destroy the mirror, to banish the darkness back to the depths of hell. I drove back to my home in Denver, determined to put the experience behind me. But as I looked in the rearview mirror, I saw a figure sitting in the back seat, its face twisted in a malevolent grin. I knew then that I was not alone, and that the horror of the Stanley Hotel would haunt me forever. I tried to shake off the feeling of being watched, telling myself it was just my imagination playing tricks on me. But as I drove through the deserted streets of Denver, I couldn't shake the feeling that something was following me. I arrived at my apartment, locking the door behind me and trying to calm my racing heart. But as I looked around the familiar rooms, I felt a sense of unease. Something was off. And then, I saw it. An antique mirror in the corner of the room. The same mirror I had shattered in the Stanley Hotel. I tried to scream, but my voice was frozen in my throat. The mirror seemed to be reflecting an image that wasn't mine. It was a dark, twisted face that seemed to be grinning at me. I knew then that I had to get out of there, to escape the horror that had followed me home. I grabbed my keys and ran out of the apartment, not stopping until I was blocks away. But as I looked back, I saw a figure standing in the window of my apartment, its face twisted in a malevolent grin. I knew then that I had to destroy the mirror once and for all. I drove to the outskirts of town, finding a deserted spot where I could finally shatter the glass and banish the evil back to hell. As I raised the mirror above my head, ready to strike, I felt a hand on my shoulder. I turned to see a figure cloaked in shadows, its face hidden behind a twisted mask. "You shouldn't have come here," it hissed, its voice like a cold breeze on a winter's night. And then, everything went black. When I came to, I was lying in a hospital bed, surrounded by the familiar faces of my friends and family. They told me I had been in an accident, that I had been driving recklessly and crashed my car. But I knew the truth. The mirror had followed me, its evil presence haunting me to the end. And as I looked around the hospital room, I saw a small, antique glass on the bedside table. The surface of the water looked like the mirror. I knew then that I was doomed, trapped in a never-ending cycle of horror. And as I gazed into the mirror's depths, I saw that same dark, twisted face. Back at my apartment, the same mirror sat in the corner, the evil face watching me. And then, the face started to change. It morphed into the figure from the Stanley Hotel and the figure from the accident. I knew then that I was staring into the face of pure evil. The mirror was a portal, a gateway to a realm of darkness and terror. As I gazed deeper into the mirror, I felt my soul being pulled towards it. I felt myself being sucked into the abyss, consumed by an eternal darkness. But then, something unexpected happened. The mirror started to rattle, shaking violently as if something was trying to break free. And then, it shattered. The glass exploded into 1,000 pieces, releasing a blast of energy that sent me flying across the room. As I struggled to get to my feet, I saw a figure standing amidst the shattered glass. It was the figure from the mirror, its face twisted in a snarl. But as I looked closer, I saw something else. A glimmer of light, a spark of goodness in the darkness. And then, the figure spoke. "You have freed me," it said. "You have broken the curse." As I watched, the figure began to change. Its face softened, its eyes lost their malevolence. "Who are you?" I asked, my voice barely above a whisper. "I am the spirit of the Stanley Hotel," it replied. "I was trapped by the mirror, forced to relive the horrors of the past." "What do I do now?" I asked. "You must destroy the remaining pieces of the mirror," it said. "You must ensure that the curse is broken forever." And with that, the spirit vanished. I was left standing amidst the shattered glass, the weight of the task ahead of me. But I knew I had to do it. I had to destroy the mirror, to break the curse once and for all. And so, I set to work. I gathered up the pieces of the mirror, every last shard and sliver. And then, I burned them. I watched as the flames consumed the glass, purifying the evil that had dwelled within. As the last piece of the mirror was destroyed, I felt a sense of peace wash over me. I knew that the curse was broken, that the horror was finally at an end. And as I walked away from the flames, I knew that I would never forget the terror of the mirror. But I also knew that I had faced my fears, and emerged victorious.